All of the action from the RMB Buffalo Regatta proudly brought to you by RMB, Eastern Cape Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Buffalo City and the Eastern Cape Development Corporation. Welcome everyone to the city that is regarded by many as the jewel in the crown to the Sunshine Coast. This is Buffalo City. With its picturesque postcard views, Buffalo City is fast becoming a host city to many of the country's top sporting events. It's also a city that has its roots firmly set in the sporting history of our country, as we look back to 1881 when the Buffalo Regatta started. And yes, that makes it the oldest sporting event in the country, even older than the Currie Cup. Things have changed quite a bit since the event started way back in 1881. We caught up with rowing legend Brian Bradfield to find out more.
Well, in the 1954 program we were looking at just now, I had a look there. There was, of course, a completely different format. Buffalo always used to be on the 16th of December, which was a national holiday. There were 6 trophies that were rowed from early days in East London, which were all for only local competition. East London Cruise, in other words, it amounted to. So those were rowed on a Saturday afternoon. On the following Friday late, there were 4 heats rowed for finals, which were held on the next day, which was also a Saturday. And it was the events on that Saturday were 13, I counted them. So 13 events were held over that day, and you can compare that with virtually up to 100 per day that we are rowing today.
Although the event was started more than 139 years ago, it's still going strong and growing stronger every year. This year drawing more than 750 competitors to take part in an event that is now run over 3 days. We caught up with the boys from Cape Town. They want to make an impression this year.
It's one of the best regattas of the year. It's the one where most people come down to see how it's going to go when it gets to champs. It's a little bit unpredictable with the weather and the tides, as it's been said. Salt water also is a bit of a change from what we're used to down in the Western Cape. But it is an important regatta for us to prove how hard we've been rowing, and not to peak for our season, but to at least show how much we've been working and how much we are willing to improve before we get to SA Champs.
The all-girl crew from Somerset College also hail from the Western Cape. We wanted to know from the girls what makes the Buff so special.
I feel as though Buffalo Regatta is special for especially our age group, the under 16s, because it's our first senior regatta, because only under 16s and opens are allowed to go onto it. So it's special for us because it's our thing to go into seniors.
At the moment we're focusing on just trying more of a reconnaissance mission. We're here to try and see out who is fast and how fast they are, so to aid us in our preparation for SA School Champs. We obviously aim to try and do as well as we possibly can. It's a little bit difficult for us coming from the coast. We are one of the top girls' schools, so we struggle for competition against our rivals in the Western Cape, and so this gives us the opportunity for some quality racing.
Willie Morgan used to cox for the SA national squad and now finds himself at a coaching role at St John's College. We asked the coach why the Buffalo Regatta is one of the events the team always aims to attend every year.
It means a lot to us, and then it's always exciting for the boys to get to race at the coast from, being 1,700 meters above sea level in Joburg to race here. Guys feel that they can go forever for days, without fatiguing, get to interact with their mates that are from Bishops or any of the other coastal schools that are not at, the Joburg regattas. It's a breath of fresh air, in other words, to race down here.
Rowing in South Africa has seen a tremendous growth, especially at school level. Rand Merchant Bank has stepped up and sponsored the national squad for the last few years. They've also got behind the Buffalo.
So RMB's supported rowing in South Africa for the past 3 years. And it's important to support from grassroots the development all the way up to the national squad. And we picked 5 of the major or big regattas in the country, and Buffalo happens to be one of those. And so it's worked really well. I know we've also extended our contract to continue supporting that for the next year, possibly 2 years. And so if the pool continues to grow like this and the quality of rowing continues to grow like this, it's going to be an amazing partnership for us.
Giving our local youth international rowing experience has been at the forefront in a recent partnership between Eastern Cape Rowing and the Eastern Cape Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture in a sporting exchange program with the Lower Saxony community in Germany. This project is aimed at growing the skills of our up-and-coming youth as well as the coaches in the Eastern Cape.
The idea on both sides is to have a competition out of the season, or just for preparing the new season. When we come here, it's February, it's before the season in Germany, and when the South African teams come to Germany, it's before the season in South Africa. So we get some competition practice, just some international experience, and we hope that some of the people get better by that and get the national team maybe. It's very interesting to see all the pupils here rowing. It's very different from German rowing with young people. We have some more club rowing in Germany, and it's not about the schools. And so schools are always big teams you have to manage. In the clubs we have smaller numbers, so you can work more individual with them. And so the training is very different.
The RMB Buffalo Regatta takes place over 3 days, with most of the action on day 1 mainly consisting of qualifying for the Buffalo, which takes place on the Saturday and is held over a distance of 2 kilometers. But for now, all of the action and focus will be on day 2 for the Selborne Sprints. Pretty warm weather and a sunshine day for this short distance race held over 500 meters. We were keen to get behind the history of the Selborne Sprints, and to find out more we visited Selborne College to speak to the head of rowing at Selborne, Mr. Kevin Taylor.
Well, the Selborne Regatta began in 1960 to coincide with the Buffalo Regatta, to break it up a bit so that crews travelling down from Gauteng could have a sprint regatta as well as the longer one over 2,000 metres. It was a brainchild of Trevor Shelver, who was the Mr. Rowing of Selborne for donkey's years, and he was one of my mentors. I think the introduction of girls rowing has made it a lot busier than it was before. And I think that because it's such a big regatta, the Buffalo and the Selborne combined, you find that the participation levels have definitely increased.
Kevin has been an integral part of Selborne rowing over the last few decades, but from the end of the year he's retiring and hanging up his oars.
I'm looking forward to spending a bit of time on things that I enjoy. Obviously I'll go back and watch the crews participating, but I believe I'm going to be a very busy pensioner.
Kevin, we thank you for your contribution to rowing and wish you all the best in your golden years. Because the Buffalo has held over 500 metres, many of the varsity teams come down to compete and test their skills over the sprint distance. Nelson Mandela Bay University are here in full force. All the way from Port Elizabeth, they're wanting to shine.
Yeah, we've got a huge recruitment drive going right now. We're trying to boost numbers because that's where your strength basically lies. Last year we were able to put together a solid 8. This year we're trying to get together 2 8s for boat race. And likewise for youth on sprints, trying to get some medals on that side. So yeah, look at varsity level you're rowing with the Olympic guys. It's another level, and you need to step up, otherwise you're going to get left behind. And it's a crucial adjustment, but once you've made it, varsity becomes one of the best rowing experiences of your life.
Another Eastern Cape-based rowing team is that of Rhodes University from Grahamstown.
At the moment we have a small group of athletes coming to the Buffalo this year, but we've actually brought 2 novices this year, which we're pretty impressed about. We had a couple of novices coming with us on January camp, got some school rows joining us as well as brand new novices. So we're actually looking to give them some experience this year with regards to rowing.
In rowing, the supporting parents put in as much effort as the kids who train for the sport. We caught up with some of the Clarendon moms and wanted to know from them exactly what is it that makes rowing such an ideal sport for young girls.
I think a couple of things. I think it's the discipline. It's a busy sport, but it's an all-rounder kind of sport, and teamwork. I think that's what counts as well.
The moms work very hard, and you get involved behind your kids because they're putting so much in and so much effort in, and it takes one a hell of a lot of work.
But for the visiting parents from out of town, the Buffalo's the place to be.
Well, it's very easy for us from here to see the finish and the start. Typically in the bigger regattas, up north, you don't see that at all. You only see the finish. So it's quite nice to get up close to the boys.
So as our racing kicks off on the Selborne Sprints, time to welcome a familiar voice in the rowing fraternity, Kate Godfrey. Kate, welcome to the studio. It's our first race, junior women's first eights, and this race just keeps growing, and it's the one we've been looking forward to.
It is, and it's one of my favourites, the women's eights. Want to push more of it. It's an international level race, whereas Coxed quads aren't an international race. Excellent racing, excellent weather, very nice close finish, and the times compared favourably with international races as well.
Pretty amazing to see more girls getting involved in eights racing.
Absolutely, it's a stunning race, it's an Olympic level race, and if you're going to promote rowing in girls and women, you need to get more eights on the water.
Clarendon really giving it their all, but it looks like St. Stithians will be the ones grabbing the win. Yeah, Saints grabs the win. Holy Rosary second place, and Clarendon having to settle for third. Moving on to the junior men's first doubles. Kate, a very difficult one to row. Some top schools competing here, and I've got a feeling this one's going to be close on the line.
It is, and you've got some excellent sculling schools here in South Africa. You can see with the yellow blades Rondebosch. On the far right we've got Somerset, and St Albans. That's Hilton from KwaZulu-Natal. They're all dicing it out there as to which one is going to be the top dog in this very difficult boat class.
Port Elizabeth's Grey High School giving it their all, but at the moment it's St Albans being chased by Hilton College. It's going to be tight.
It is tight. Closest to us we see Grey. They're also a very good sculling school. So sculling is one person with two blades. As you can see, it's very close as they come to the line as to who's going to get over there first.
Hilton College from KZN throwing everything that they can, but it's going to be St Albans taking the win. Hilton College and St Albans claiming third place as well. And the St Albans boys really getting behind their teams, taking first and third in that one. Kate, getting down to our junior women's pairs, just why is pairs such a tricky event to race?
This is a pair, so this is one person with one blade. This is very difficult. So if you're not pulling exactly the same as your partner, your boat's going to go skew, the balance is going to be off. Really nice to see so much transformation happening in rowing at this level. The pair happens to be my next favourite boat after the eight. It's really great fun. You feel like you're flying an albatross. You can see there lovely action from St Andrews, and they're really working hard to try and get to that St Mary's crew in front of them.
Into the finish line we go. St Mary's crosses the line first, followed by St Andrews. Holy Rosary grabbing third place in a superb finish by the Holy Rosary girls. Kate, one thing I really enjoy about the Buffalo Sprints is the fact that even the universities come down to race over 500 metres as we watch our senior men's Cox's fours come by.
Yes, this is university level. Really nice to see UJ up there giving it their all. It's going to be taken by UCT. UCT have got two very nice fast crews in there, which bodes well for university boat race later in the year.
UJ giving it their best, but they just couldn't outmatch University of Cape Town. UCT taking first and third in this one. Great to see senior women getting into the eights as well, and like you say, it's an international standard event.
It is, and I could really wish that South Africa would do a women's eight at the Olympics. I don't see why we don't have the quality to do it. All of these ladies in that top boat from Tux are from all over schools all over the country, and a lot of them from the top women's girls rowing schools, and they all love eights and they really wish they'd started it earlier.
I think we all kind of knew Tux Racing would be taking this one. The Tux ladies in really, really good form, but also a big welcome to some newcomers to eights racing. Walter Sisulu University taking part.
Well, it's Walter Sisulu and Fort Hare. They've been rowing very few months, and in fact this is a Wusu crew, and they're really giving it their all. There's a tight competition between Fort Hare and Walter Sisulu as to who's going to get honours, and the moment it's even.
Even it might be. Tux takes the win, UCT in second place, but Walter Sisulu grabbing third and thereby edging out University of Fort Hare. Into some more racing with the 8-men crew. This is the junior men under 15s octopools as they head down the 500 meters.
I love this race. Under 15 octopools is like a millipede on drugs. You'll see blades all over the place, but they're trying so hard. And it's a great training boat because you have to have such quick hands and such precision, and these boats eat blades. So you can see closest to us, we've got Rondebosch, that's St Benedict's, and on the far side we've got Clarendon giving it their all. Here we've got St Stithians and St John's, and it's going to be a tight one as they come up to the line, with St Benedict's getting it, and then followed by St Stithians and St John's just losing out in third.
A well-deserved win by St Benedict's, putting the pressure on from the word go, and the boys really tired after this one. As we start moving into our ladies quads racing, junior women's first quads, Kate, really amazing to see transformation taking place even at school level.
It is fantastic to see transformation happening amongst the girls. It seems to be a lot stronger transformation in the girls than the boys. We are one of the few countries in the world that has Cox Quads as a championship event. You can see here Clarendon really pushing St Mary's and St Stithians and right in there in St Andrews.
Well, they're entering the final few metres here. St Mary's leading the way, but who's going to be taking second place? Because at the moment St Andrews is pushing Clarendon, St Mary's takes first, and then it's Clarendon just edging out the St Andrews girls. Heading into our final race of the day, Kate, this is the big showdown. It's the spectacular. All of the big names are here. It's going to be a big battle.
It's going to be. And 8s, when they're alongside each other, are so much pressure and so much fun. And everybody wants to be in the first 8. And the great thing about a first 8 is you get 9 guys who'll be in there and not just 4 or 5. And you can see straight across a line, they're dicing it out, nothing in it over 500 metres. And what you can do over 500 metres is get away with brute force. Here we see Grey giving it their all, and next to them we see St John's in the middle, who do very well with their strength. They've got an excellent programme at St John's.
Now this is going to be almost the photo finish. St John's claiming it over St Benedict's. It's very close, and this is what makes rowing so exciting. The St John boys really getting behind their team that's taken the honours, and the traditional salute as the boat comes off the jetty. The action now shifts to day 3. This is the long one, the endurance race of the Buffalo Regatta over 2 kilometres. Weather-wise today a little bit cooler than on the Friday, 27 degrees. This is the event where the intensity level is turned up a notch. It's also the event where national coach Roger Barrow keeps an eye out for potential to include in the up-and-coming national squads.
Yeah, if you look at this regatta, I think it's the biggest Buffalo entry ever. I heard from the organisers they had an extra 50 under 15s, under 16 age groups doing well. So there's great talent coming through. I think our big thing is just not to lose our talent to America. A lot of kids are going over there to get scholarships, which is great. And we've got to try and nurture our talents in South Africa. But there's a great talent pool going through, and rowing is certainly growing.
Well, the Buffalo Regatta is surely one of the big sporting events on the menu for Buffalo City during the month of February, bringing a lot of tourism and trade to the Eastern Cape, something Eastern Cape Development Corporation is proud of.
Our work involves investment promotion and trade promotion. So you look at the amount of money spent during the event, before and post, and you realize that there is a big economic impact to the region that's brought about by this event. You've got the Rand Merchant Bank involved, which is a very good possible clientele for us as the ECDC. The most important thing we want to promote going forward is how do we track the investment that comes into the city. We look at the number of jobs that are created, people that come here temporary, security guards, people that do food and so on. So there is real impact that's brought about by the event, and we're looking for such events as well. Yeah.
So as we get into the racing of the Buffalo Regatta, the first one is the senior women's doubles. And, obviously Tuxford won this one. They got the national crew and they did take the win on the day.
Well, this is the Olympic selection, and here we see Kirsty and Nicole, who are really giving it their all. They are our top double at the moment, and they have to prove themselves that nobody else is coming close, because this is selections for the Tokyo.
An event always watching the juniors is the sculls, because it gives a good indication of what is to come. But, St Albans just dominating this one.
They are. Their new coach, Andrew Grant, is the national junior coach as well, and you can see a fabulous difference he's done with these boys, and St Albans are back on top again.
It's going to be a St Albans dominated podium as they go through to take the top 3 places. And Kate, it just kind of shows how much effort the coaches and the teams put in to dominate at this level.
They are specialists at sculling, although they have been doing a little bit more sweep than they were doing. Their pair has also had a good result at this regatta.
I think the St Albans crew can be very happy with that finish, dominating that event. So this is the trophy we're racing for next. It's the Silver Skulls. Tabela Masuta was the man who took honours last year. Do you think he can successfully defend that title this year?
Well, last year I didn't think technically he was that good. It was brute force, and it's nice to see his maturity coming up and his technique improving. He kept a level head, although Murray Bale-Smith from UJ gave a close dice, and as a lightweight he really pushed Tabela.
Tabela Masuta being placed under tremendous pressure here by UJ's Murray Bale-Smith. I mean, they side by side, but keep in mind, this race is over 2 kilometres.
That's right, stroke for stroke, and every stroke counts.
Coming into the last few hundred metres now, it's Tabela Masuta on the left, pushing as hard as he can, and he's managing to pull out a lead here on Murray Bale-Smith. The UJ Sculler is going to have to apply some pressure and pick up the pace, but it looks like Tabela Masuta is going to be the man that takes this one home. Everybody's coming to the side to support him. Murray Bale-Smith throwing everything he's got at it, but I think Masuta's done enough. He takes the title again. Tabela Masuta winning the Silver Skulls.
Off the start, I wanted to do a very big start. I wanted to put myself out front, and funny enough, I was one of the backpackers off the start. So I think the whole field sort of knew what I was going to do because it's what I did last year. Everyone expected it, copied me. Murray and I started pushing away, and the UJ Sculler were moving. Stroke for stroke, at least 700 meters just after the 1K. I did a big push to put myself a length up. We ran through. He had a big sprint actually, but unfortunately on the line, caught a crab and it wasn't enough, so managed to take the win there.
We're on board with the ladies from UCT as we get off the line in the senior women's 8, and only 3 boats in this one. UCT, Tux, and of course University of Fort Hare, but Tux looking so good.
They're a fantastic boat. They're trying to get into the national squad. Really great to see UCT pushing them. All of these girls coming from different schools. You've got Clarendon in there, you've got Somerset, you've got St Mary's and St Andrews, and all of them are supporting women's 8, which is great to see.
As they're moving now to the last 150 metres to the line, Tux taking the lead, and we didn't expect anything different. I mean, they do have a lot of the national ladies rowers in that boat with them.
Yep, and it's also great to see the University of Fort Hare, although nowhere near as good in quality. They've only just started rowing, but up there and willing to give it a go.
And this is the big one of the day. It's the Grand Challenge, Kate, the one that Buffalo Regatta really became famous for.
It is. It's got a massive silver trophy that's the most expensive in Southern Africa. In the middle here you can see the 2 Tux crews. In the stroke you've got Lawrence Britton against Jake Green. Now the stroke is the person at the back of the boat. They set the pace. They're the one that sets the rhythm, and if you get a good rhythm like these guys have got, then you're going to be smoking.
UCT putting in a big effort there to try and close the gap down, but it's clear that the challenge is going to be between these 2 teams from the national squad, Tux Green and Tux Britain, and it looks like at the moment Tux Britain might just be edging away.
You've actually got a very young crew there. You've got Luke Defran in there. You've got a couple of under 23s in there who are looking fantastic, and that younger boat looks like it's going to be pulling through.
Rhodes putting in a very courageous effort. UCT will take 3rd place, but on the line it's going to be Tux Britain taking the win over Tux Green, as a really strong finish by them. Lawrence Britton at the front of that boat. Look at him, he's absolutely exhausted. He just lies back to get some air into his lungs. Sea Rescue coming into base. They're directly across from our control tower here at the Buffalo Regatta as we watch the junior women's under 19 first quads, and this is going to be a race for the toughest of the tough.
It is. This is girls who are pulling big ergo scores. They're pulling along a 50 kilo cox at the front there. As I said before, unfortunately this isn't an Olympic level class, but we are very good at this. St Mary's in particular are excellent at coxed 4s and coxed quads.
And once again, they make no mistake of it. St Mary's taking the win over St Andrews. St Stithians taking 3rd place, and a gallant effort by the girls of Clarendon. So as we move into our final race of the day, the junior men's under 19 8s, and this is going to be it's going to be a battle of note.
It's an excellent race to watch. You've got from all regions excellent crews. You've got St Andrews in the Eastern Cape. You've got St John's and St Benedict's, and there you've got Grey in front of us, who are all dicing it out for honours in the 8. To win in the 8 is a real kudos for the school that wins in an 8.
Closest to us, St Andrews from Grahamstown in that yellow boat. Then it's St Benedict's, and then it's Sachs on the far side. Sachs really pushing out, pulling out everything, and they want to try and close the gap down to Benny's.
They're doing a fantastic job, and what you don't get from this commentary is just how loud the teams are when they're shouting for their crews. It's so close. You can see closest to us is St Andrews and their teams, and there's St Benedict's are doing such a good job of cheering them on.
St Benedict's clearly taking the win this one, but this is the fight for second. St Andrews from Grahamstown managing to take it over Sachs. Well done, Sachs. So they're really coming back, aren't they?
It's great to see Sachs back on top again. They've had a couple of years in the doldrums, and you can see they've been clawing their way back up.
All that was left to do is hand out the trophies for this year's RMB Buffalo Regatta. I think all the crews can be very happy with their performances. Honours would go to Tabelo Masuta and the Silver Skulls defending his title, but the big win in the Grand Challenge would belong to Team Britain, the national squad taking the title.
We knew it was going to be a tough one out there. Our competition was really, really strong this year, so it was all about executing our race plan and nailing it through the middle of the race. We knew it was going to come down to the hard yards in the second half of the race, and that's where we put in the big work. Luckily, I had the strong people behind me to dish it up and make sure we got the win.
Well, that concludes all of the action from this year's Rand Merchant Bank Buffalo Regatta. We hope to catch you again in 2021. All of the action from the RMB Buffalo Regatta proudly brought to you by RMB, Eastern Cape Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Buffalo City and the Eastern Cape Development Corporation.